All right.
That's better.
Really excited for today's live, everybody. We'll just wait a few minutes till everybody joins us, and we will get our special guest on. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this episode of Mubarak Law Facebook Live every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. So please feel free to interact with us. Send us your questions if you have any. And even for me or for our special guest, and we will love to hear from you. This is all about gaining knowledge and perspective, so please join us with that. So before we get started, as you know, I like to share some immigration updates and legal updates with you all from the personal injury and immigration law side. Immigration courts are reopening September 14th, and we don't have any more instruction than that. It looks like it might be individual hearings first, meaning master calendar hearings may not be scheduled, but we promise to keep you all updated on the of the courts. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, please do so. It's the best way to get up-to-date information, and also follow us on social media platforms too. So the quick reminder, October 2nd, immigration fees are going up. So if you're currently not a citizen and you're thinking you want to become a citizen, it's going up more than $500 on October 2nd. You still have a few weeks to get your application in and save yourself $500. It's going to cost $1,000 to become a U.S. citizen after October 2nd. And finally, we are closed on Monday for Labor Day. I hope everybody has a safe and enjoyable weekend, but our office will be closed in observance of Labor Day. As you know, we always do our Facebook Live. We started with some good news, and this week's good news is two things. It's the 4-year anniversary for Mubarak Law. So thank you guys for all the well wishes that we received. And also my good news is our guest tonight. I am so pleased to have former immigration judge Roberto Moreno on my show or on our Facebook Live today. And I am going to go ahead and read his bio to you guys. So just to give you guys some background, and I'm going to go, before I do that, I would like to just bring him on. So do me a favor and please help me welcome Judge Moreno to the show. All right. Bobby, how are you?
I am doing well. Yourself?
Good. I'm so excited. Judge Moreno, how are you doing? Welcome to the Mubarak Law Facebook Live. And how are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Thank you for having me here. It's been my pleasure too to be here with you.
Oh, thank you, Judge. So I was mentioning to everybody, I wanted to give a quick background. When I say quick, bio of this super accomplished and service-oriented individual. So first, thank you for your service to our country and for all that you've done. And you really are an incredible human being. So for those who are just joining us, this is former immigration judge Roberto Moreno. He has a bachelor's degree in business, a law degree, and then that wasn't enough. He went to the University of Washington and also got an LLM on his law degree. He was then practicing in Washington, D.C. as a national oceanic and atmospheric attorney. He then became the Southeast Regional Counsel for this agency, which is in charge of 17 states, including the Caribbean. So we're not done, but I would like to ask, what exactly is oceanic and atmospheric attorney's job duties? Before it's a curious question to me, if you can give me some insight on that.
Very well. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is basically the federal agency that deals with civilian satellites of the United States, as well as fisheries for the United States. In addition to that, there's the Weather Service and many other related agencies that fall under the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It's called NOAA. Basically, the attorneys for NOAA have to draft different contracts, take care of different problems in the area. In my case, I was in Washington at the very beginning, working for the agency. And then they made me the Southeast Regional Counsel in St. Petersburg, Florida, and made me in charge of 17 states and the Caribbean. So I was basically traveling all my life, doing business.
I didn't even know that about you, and I'm happy that you're here. One thing I learned, some more incredible accomplishments for you. And then you decided that, okay, 17 states and the Caribbean is not enough. I want to become a prosecutor. And then you were a prosecutor in Puerto Rico. Is that correct?
Yes. That's correct. I went from NOAA to basically become an assistant United States attorney in Puerto Rico. That was with the civil division. I started off with civil division, and then eventually I became the supervisor of a criminal division in Puerto Rico, and basically also in a special prosecutions unit that basically involved attorneys or prosecutors from Washington, D.C., from the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Puerto Rico. I basically became part of that special prosecutions unit, and became in charge of terrorism, and basically that's what I did for a while. And also,
I think you were telling me you did a big domestic terrorism case, and that kind of brought you here. So to Orlando, what was that case like? I guess it also received some death threats, and I guess that's kind of a very serious, consequence of doing what you do by enforcing the laws. Can you share with us what type of case that was with that the terrorism and the just it's super interesting, and you didn't realize that was actually happening on American soil. We're so used to seeing terrorism abroad, but we don't hear about too much of what's happening here. Can you shed some light on that case?
Certainly, there was a group called Los Macheteros, that is a machete wielding people, and basically they murdered some Navy personnel as well as other federal personnel in Puerto Rico. They also were part of a big Chicago underground system that they were making bombs, they were robbing banks in different areas of the country, and also they were they basically were formed by agents of the Cuban intelligence system. So in pursuing that, I basically did everything from assisting the FBI, Secret Service, and many other agencies that were doing the investigation with me, and basically ended up, after about 3 years of constant investigation, we finally got down the gang and prosecuted them. And some of the people went back to Cuba, and we could have never found them.
So you were obviously always involved in like some government agencies and enforcement and service. And there's even more of your accomplishments that I just want to get to. But before I do, I wanted to surprise you with some familiar faces. I think I might have already ruined the surprise, but do you know this young lady?
I know this young lady for many years.
What about this one?
Yes, I do too. Gloria, how are you?
Hi, dear.
I find it amazing to share our connected circle with our audience and everybody who doesn't know how we are. And plus, it looks like Hollywood Squares with the game show here. Why don't you tell Safat, how do you know Judge Moreno?
I worked with Judge Moreno from 2004, I think, until 2010. He was a partner in a law firm when I first moved to Orlando, and he became the father, the teacher, the backbone, the supporter. He's everything.
And what would you say, not to put you on the spot, is your favorite memory of Judge Moreno?
The father. He was the father. He would actually come and check on you. You are not only an employee, you are a person. He would come, he would check on you. He was the one, he is the reason actually that I went back to school and got my bachelor degree.
That's awesome.
Very.
You've always been. When I read your bio, it's so looks serious and heavy. But to know you, you're a completely different, light experience. Do you remember Miss Solorzano de Lopez?
Of course I do, yes. We also worked for many years together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So for those who don't know, Gloria has been with my paralegal for, I'm going to get in trouble, maybe 8 years now.
Yes.
And we were together at the old firm Nijam, and that's where we met Roberto Moreno.
Exactly.
And prior to Moreno, he had his own firm, but prior to that, he worked with Safat. And I don't know if any of you guys know this, but I interviewed for a job with Judge Moreno, and now I need answers. Why wasn't I offered the job?
Well, that is a difficult question to answer. I always go back and I tell my wife and everyone else I should have hired you, and maybe we should have be today the M&Ms, Moreno and Mubarak. You certainly, but we ended up together at the Nijam law firm, and we worked hand in hand ever since.
Yeah,
so
absolutely true. I remember, I think you were deciding about hiring an associate for your firm and or joining the other law firm, Nijam Law, and it was deciding, a life choice for you, really. But you ended up there, and because you ended up there, I ended up there. So it all worked out in the end. And I could tell you, I practice day and night my Spanish for our interviews, and thankfully, it's a lot better today than it was back then. And it was always an honor a dream to really work with you as an immigration attorney, somebody who loves it. Before I let Safat and Gloria go, Gloria, do you have a memory that or a favorite time you remember, Judge, that influenced you?
Well, I will say that Judge Moreno is a friendly person. So always is smiling. So he's very nice. So I remember him like, very, very nice person. And you can talk to him, ask anything that you want. Very nice.
Yeah, I would agree on those statements. And Safa, anything else you want to add before I let you guys go?
You're the best,
I'm the best. All right, cool. No, I don't know if you're talking to Judge or Gloria, but I'll assume you're talking to me. And Gloria and Safat, thank you guys. I know we've already worked a long day.
Bye, dear Judge.
Everybody tuning in, Gloria Lopez, our paralegal from our office, Safat, paralegal from our office, and we all have sometime worked together in the area of immigration law. So thank you, ladies, and you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, you too.
I do want to share some comments that we're getting. Here is Diego saying, Judge Moreno is an amazing person. I owe him so much. Here, Avi is telling us a great job and information. We have this young lady. This is Mrs. Maddie, your wife, sending us Safat some love, and even somebody giving Safat some more support. So thank you guys for tuning in on our Facebook Live. I would like to get some more information, as we're not even done with the judge's work experience or bio. So we're going to go ahead and get through this now. So after the big case from Puerto Rico, you then had to leave and come to Orlando. What was the reasoning that you had to leave?
Well, various things. I had two kids, very young kids at the time, and living in Puerto Rico, I had some death threats, and basically I made the choice with the Department of Justice to come to Orlando, and basically came to the United States Attorney's Office here.
And how long did it take you to become the head of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Orlando?
Well, it took me 2 months to be the head of the U.S. Attorney's Office here.
Okay, so now I don't know if maybe it's been a long day and I can't read this bio properly or not, but it looks like your time at the U.S. Attorney's Office overlapped with serving in Gulf War. How did that happen?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story, but I was offered a commission in the United States Navy when I was a prosecutor in Puerto Rico with the U.S. attorneys there. And basically, I accepted that, and I said that I didn't want to be an attorney for the Navy. and basically I wanted to be in the line of duty, and I became an intelligence officer with the Navy. Basically, it was Navy Reserve because I was doing my full-time job with the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Orlando. But then on weekends, I would go to the Navy Reserve and perform activities there. And eventually, I got called to go to the Gulf War in 1990 and 91, Desert Shield and Desert Storm, as we called it. And basically, by then, I had I did some teaching about interrogation and face recognition and everything else, and taught at the U.S. Air Force Reserve campus in California as well. And I became kind of involved with, in my experience in the military, became involved with interrogations of prisoners of war. So when the Gulf War started, or was about to start, there was a deficit of people that could interrogate prisoners of war. So the Navy, we were 5 of us who did that job, and I ended up going overseas and performing interrogation of high-ranking officers in the Iraqi military.
So I guess your time as a prosecutor set you up perfect for that kind of questioning and cross-examination. It's just really wild to me that you were the head of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Orlando, simultaneously serving in the Gulf War. So it's super, just I don't know how you had time for it, and you still look really young to me. So good for you on that. And then you got bored of being a prosecutor. You got bored again. So you're no longer a prosecutor, and then you became an immigration judge. And
correct.
That's part of the real part that I wanted you to be on our show today, to kind of share with us the other perspective of what it was like to be on the other side. We represent individuals in removal and deportation proceedings, and I'm hoping that you can share some insight on that. So, of course, I have some questions for you, and we are going to get to that. And also, I have my good friend from AILA, attorney Bridget Bennett, a genius immigration attorney and friend. Hey, Bridget, thanks for tuning in. And then, so you're an immigration judge. So what would you say the hardest thing to learn was from becoming a prosecutor, one who's trying to enforce the law, to then becoming an adjudicator under EOIR with immigration law? How was that learning curve for you?
Well, let me preface that by saying that, as a prosecutor, I was handling criminal trials all the time and civil trials as well. And I went from 1,000 RPM a minute to basically 100 RPM a minute, because being a judge, obviously, you're not presenting a case. They're presenting cases to you. And basically, sometimes you have the idea that you're still a prosecutor and you want to barge in and try to have the attorneys focus on what you're wanting to focus. And basically, that is the biggest transition for me. At that point in time, I had to stay back a little bit, refrain myself of saying so many things, and basically apply the law as it was. And it was, immigration law is very, very difficult. It requires a lot of knowledge. It requires a lot of temperance, a lot of patience with some of the things that are happening. And basically, from going from a criminal prosecutor to basically a judge was a very impacting thing for me.
Actually, it's like not the area of law that you've typically were around. It's a completely different area of law. And I actually remember 10 years ago when you met, we were doing a consultation and explaining that the Immigration Nationality Act is one of the largest bodies of laws that we have out there, and just how complex it can be. What would you say is one of the most common mistakes a respondent or an applicant makes for those who are watching and going through deportation or removal proceedings themselves? What would you say is or give some advice or something to avoid for an individual going through this process?
Yeah, the whole thing about being on a trial, an immigration trial, is that people have to be conscientious and tell the truth, because many times they believe that they can get away with many things or saying things that didn't happen, or kind of alter or color some of the facts in their life. And basically, in my case and in the case of many judges, I have worked with the Navy and being teaching judges in South America and different countries in South America. I kind of knew a lot of the things, and believe me when I say that I knew that they were giving me false information. And basically that will seal the fate of any individual coming up before an immigration judge. They
Again,
have to be truthful.
if you just tuned in, I'm with a former partner at my old law firm, former immigration judge, former U.S. attorney, and good friend. I call him Bobby Moreno, and we're going over the other side of removal proceedings or deportation to kind of shed light to our viewers who are going through this process. And what the judge is saying is credibility is one of the most important factors. So a lot of times we have relief and it's about discretion. And if the judge feels like you're not telling the truth or you are inconsistent, this is going to put doubt in every statement that you've made. Oftentimes, I agree 100% with that statement, Judge. And we sometimes have cases that are so strong already, but the clients still believe that there's a need to, add to it. And then that little addition may ruin their entire case because it's not found to be credible. So thank you for sharing that. And I hope, if they don't take it from me, if they take it from a former immigration judge, people really learn from that information. This is super important. Now, for you, what was your hardest part of actually being a judge? Not learning, but what is the hardest part? Is it the paperwork? Is it the decisions? Is it listening to attorneys like me? Not be. What would you say is the hardest part of that job?
Well, the hardest part is basically looking at families, and sometimes you have to apply the law and it would not be kind to them. That was a very difficult process for me when I saw little children or families that needed to stay away from their home or their countries, and basically I could not let them stay.
Yeah.
So deportation became a very, very difficult issue. And I guess it's for every judge to deport entire families. And basically there's nothing you can do because that's the way the law is, and that's the way the nation has decided that we have to apply the law.
Yeah, we hear a lot, right? Like, they have children, how can we deport them? Or they don't have any criminal history. But immigration law is not that way. For a lot of the relief, cancellation of removal, you either qualify or you don't. And if you don't have 10 years or this extremely high hardship standard, or what's exceptionally extremely an unusual hardship, then you may be separated from your family. And I really can't imagine how difficult that must, knowing you. And all of us have a job to uphold the law, and not everybody's going to qualify under the immigration law. So I can see how that was difficult for you.
Correct.
Now, you did that for 8 years. Is there a particular case that ever touched you the most that you think about, that you realize, like, maybe I saved this family from their asylum, or something that was just either so horrific or heartfelt that kind of stayed with you all during these years?
There were many.
Yeah. Okay.
But one in particular, I had this family, and after I granted asylum to the entire family, a 5-year-old girl, a couple of days after the trial, came back to the office and had this drawing of me being a judge there in their case. And they were so grateful for that. Yeah. And today that girl is much older, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, that's amazing. The way you've impacted people, and gone from a protecting and granting relief. So again, I really do feel the need on behalf of many civilians just to thank you for your service and for teaching me. When I started working with you, I was maybe less than 6 months out of law school, and all I knew is that I wanted to work in immigration law, and I was blessed to be under your guidance and many other professionals from the old firm. And I learned exceptionally things and was able to continue that to our practice. And here we are 10 years later, sitting together. And I know I really appreciate your friendship and your guidance. So you were an immigration attorney for 8 years, immigration judge for 8 years. And then you left now as an immigration judge, and you actually joined the practice of immigration law like myself, where we represent individuals. What was that like, going back to a courtroom where possibly you once used to be on the bench and now you're on the other side, maybe getting yelled at by a judge or somebody that you trained being on the other side. So how was it transitioning from judge to private practice?
It was a hard transition, let me say that, because what were your peers or were people that work with you all the time, suddenly they were you were in front of them trying a case or presenting a case to them. Yeah. And basically that was either weird for myself and also for the judge that was presiding, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine if you train somebody and then they're like, you have to deny your case or tell you you're doing something wrong. I'm sure that was awkward for the first few years. Yeah. What was your, now that you've kind of went full circle, you went from prosecuting to adjudicating to representing people, which portion, if you could choose one, would you say it was your favorite? Or I know, were they all special to you? What would you say was the most meaningful?
Well, all of those phases were meaningful for me, because you learn a lot of things on each different aspect of either prosecuting a case or defending a person or being a judge. There's so many nuances of different things, and obviously each of those experiences are quite different. You learn from each of the experience more and more, and every day you become a hopefully a better person. And basically that's what I remember the most about each of my processes, if you will, about being a prosecutor, being a judge, being a defense attorney. Everything carries its own weight, and it's very important to have all that experience.
I think most people dream of reaching some of your achievement, just one of your achievements. So you should be really proud of yourself, and I'm sure your family is proud of you. I know that in addition to the law, you have a passion for cars, and I need to know how many cars do you own today? I think it was like 10 or 12 last time we knew. So this was my secret question. I have a follow-up to it. So let me know how many cars you have, if you care to share. You could give us a range, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 25 to 50. Where are we now?
We're at 23 collector cars.
Okay, 23 collectible cars. That's incredible. Now, if you have to choose your wife or the cars, which one is
that is so much of a trick question. I won't answer that for nothing.
All right, I know Maddie's watching, and that's just a joke. I don't want any problems for you or for me, so we'll leave it there. But you then got into personal injury, and that's kind of similar to myself. I was in immigration, and now we're also doing personal injury. And you continue to do personal injury, and I know, given all of your experience, you've rightfully slowed down, and you're extremely selective on what types of cases you take and who you choose to represent. So how are you enjoying personal injury? So you are in trouble. Here's Maddie's response to you not answering the trick question. And also, I think, is this one of your children, Rob Moreno?
Rob. Yes.
So Maddie, that was a joke. We planned that. I don't know what's a trick about your wife or your cars. It seems like a straight answer to me. But how is the personal injury practice, and how are you finding that?
I find that very, very interesting. Again, every phase of everything I've done in my life brings different perspectives in life. And in personal injury, there's a lot of people that need help, a real good help, because out there, what you find is people trying to stymie them or not represent them fully. And basically, that's all I've done in my practice is try to represent them 100% as much as I can to better their lives. And obviously, after an accident, there's so many problems in intra-family and inter-family problems.
You know,
So that's my goal.
did you find it the same way where I know practicing immigration, I was like, oh, I want to just save people. I want to help people. I don't want to, PI you're not really helping people. It's really about the money. But, a few months into it, when you see what the insurance companies do to individuals and how people lose their jobs and they lose their livelihood, how much it's affecting them, I really truly believe, just the same that we are helping people just like we are in immigration law because they were hurt and now their life's been affected, and the insurance companies are not there to, benefit you. They're going to make sure that they're trying to benefit themselves as much as possible.
That's correct. And you pinpointed that exactly as it is, because the insurance companies obviously want to, at the end of the year, they want to end up with as much money as they can. And basically, that's the kind of business that they have. But certainly, people, like you said, have lost their jobs, they have lost families, they have lost their well-being, they have lost everything in an accident. And basically, those people need help, need real good help.
Yeah. So, I want to reach my point of my career where I don't want that many clients. Bobby won't even share his phone number with me, but he has given me authority that if you would like to get a hold of Judge Moreno, please contact our office and we'll put you in touch with him. And, so he can choose whether or not that he can assist you or refer you to somebody who can. I have some extra comments here. I think there was a controversy. He went through all this schooling, but apparently never learned happy wife, happy life. I think that's a good point. Thank you, Kim, for that. And don't answer that one. I'm sorry I set you up, Bobby, with that, but I was just good fun, and it's real pleasure to have you and to see you and to catch up. And here we are 10 years later from when I interviewed with you, probably had a little bit more hair and was nothing but respect for you. So for those of you who have found this video helpful, please share it with your friends and your family. If you want to be on the lookout for next week's Facebook Live, we're going to do updates on the immigration law, or you can subscribe to our newsletter to get the updates. Bobby, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm just going to add that thank you for having me here. It's been my pleasure to be here. You are an excellent attorney and a very good friend. So I have nothing but good things to say. So thank you very much for having me here and all your public.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. And thank you guys for tuning in. Please share, like, and subscribe. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week at 6:30 on Thursday.